All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Look, that disappointing playoff finish. We all get that, but all great teams, all teams, if you especially want to contend for long-term success, have to put the wins and the losses behind them as soon as you can and turn the eye towards the future. And the Lions are doing that. Of course, their two top coordinators are gone, but the Lions are making great hires to replenish their coaching staff. They've already made one great one and are about to make another fantastic one. Still great news coming out of Detroit. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Lions very quickly moving on from a playoff defeat and losing both their coordinators, doing a phenomenal job. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, there's a reason they're two of the best in the business. Let's go into this latest report, courtesy of Athlon Sports. The Lions are already expected to hire Tampa Bay's defensive line coach and run game Casey Rogers, one of the best, great hire there, as their defensive line coach. On Thursday, Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press reported that the Lions will interview Buccaneers inside linebackers coach and pass game coordinator Larry Foote for their vacant defensive coordinator spot. Foote has roots in the Motor City and attended high school there before heading to Michigan and then the NFL, where he spent 13 seasons playing linebacker. This is literally the perfect fit. Larry Foote is literally designed. If he could have been a player when Dan Campbell was a head coach, he would have played for Dan Campbell. He's a perfect fit for this Lions culture. This would be an outstanding hire, and Rodgers absolutely was as well. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are, excuse me, on all of this Lions news. But Detroit fans, you first in the comment section below. What do you think of the moves the Lions are making to move after losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson to replenish their coaching staff? How do you think Campbell and Holmes are doing trying to fill those shoes? Do you give them an A so far? Do you give them a C, work in progress? Think it's been terrible? It's an F. Whatever it is, great how Holmes and Campbell have adjusted losing their two top coordinators. Put it in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest update out of Detroit?
Yeah, Nick, at this point, it seems like the Lions might as well just grab Liam Cohen as well and get him in as the offensive coordinator of this team. Seems like they're just ravaging this Buccaneers staff because there's a lot of great guys on there. And I think what you said here is the key. Obviously, the deal's not done yet, but this guy seemed like too perfect of a fit of a Dan Campbell guy to be a coach for this not to happen. I really love Larry Foote as a player being 13 seasons in the league, hometown type of guy, being from that Michigan area, playing at high school there, playing college there. This just seems like the Aiden Hutchinson to the Lions was the perfect fit as a draft. Larry Foote to the Lions is the perfect fit as a defensive coordinator. Been doing a lot of really great things as a coach as well. So I just think this really seems too good to be true. So it's probably gonna happen, in my opinion. Larry Foote to the Lions really seems like the perfect fit. But I think this shows that Dan Campbell's had his eyes on guys. You know that he knew that Ben Johnson was going to be gone. You knew that Aaron Glenn was probably going to be gone. And so they've been planning, they've been gearing up to replace those guys, plus anybody they thought that might go with those guys as well, especially because the head coaching positions probably deeper into their roster going to get poached to bring those guys up as coordinators, which those things usually do happen. So I think that this proves to me that we're seeing such perfect fits being grabbed throughout the league to this line staff that Dan Campbell and co, they've really had their sights set on, all right, who do we want? Who do we want to bring in? They've been preparing to replace both Glenn and Johnson. I think they've done a really great job so far. We'll have to see the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, they're getting defense done first. But so far from what we've seen from Dan Campbell, I've been really impressed. I was impressed with how he built his first staff. I'm very impressed about how he's rebounded and started to build his next staff. This seems like a great job for the Lions, and I don't think there's going to be any regression with the level of moves that he seemed to be making so far.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I think the operative word is fit. One of the things about the Lions, and of course Ben Johnson deserves a lot of credit with the incredible trick plays and the X's and O's on offense, that wasn't their secret sauce. Their secret sauce was two things: incredible Brad Holmes talent evaluation and acquisition of talent, being a great GM, and Dan Campbell's leadership and culture and just the mentality in Detroit. Not taking anything away from Johnson, who's outstanding at his job, but the reality is, if you look at a lot of Johnson's, in terms of the trick plays and things like that, yeah, you ran a flea flicker against Dallas, you won by 30. You ran the fake fall down against the Bears, you won by 20, right? That's cool. It's a nice highlight, but the reason the Lions are winning those games and the reason they're one of the best teams in the National Football League now is because of Holmes and Campbell. Holmes with the ability to find and acquire talent. Campbell was setting the culture. And one thing Dan Campbell's done a great job so far this offseason is bringing in guys that are great fits. Rodgers is a player's coach. He's a coach's coach in terms of a position coach. He is a guru respected by GMs, front office, assistant coaches, head coaches, players, young, old. He is the perfect guy to come in and train and work with veteran defensive linemen, young defensive linemen. Phenomenal hire by the Lions, one of the best hires. We actually linked him to the Packers a few days ago, saying this would be a great hire by Green Bay. Credit Detroit for stealing Rodgers and getting him into the fold there in Detroit. But honestly, Foot is just like I said in the open there. If he had been a player when Dan Campbell was the coach, he would have turned in his game check and gone to play for Dan Campbell for free. He is this kind of player. When he was a linebacker for the Steelers, he was nasty, physical, aggressive, literally a biting your kneecap kind of guy, right? When you think of old school players, I say old school. Larry Foot's not that old, but old school compared to a lot of kids these days. He is that kind of guy. He fits in exactly what the Lions are trying to instill. Perfect fits, perfect strategy. Not losing the culture is going to be key. One of the things that happens in any organization, but certainly football teams, when you start losing coordinators and assistant coaches, those are the guys that the day-to-day instill in the players the head coach's vision. When you start losing those guys, you have to replace them with people that buy into that same vision. The Lions are doing just that with the hire of Rodgers, and if they seal the deal on foot, which I think they will, he'll do that job as well. Phenomenal work by Detroit here.